All right, so ultimately, when you're competing in the world of Windows, if you will, right, you're going to go against a few different companies. And so the majority of San Antonio sells on price, right? And so when you sell on price, you have to cut corners somewhere to get that price down, right? So you're usually sacrificing something. So typically when that happens, you build an inferior product, right? You also have the ability, or you don't have that longevity, like the long term for the wear and tear, for energy efficiency and consumption. Because everything we do, we want to make sure that it doesn't meet today's building code, but it meets 7 to 10 years building code, exactly. Because again, technology is constantly evolving, right? And so our biggest competitor out there is called Window World, right? And they're going to typically sell these windows at next to nothing, if you will, right? And the reason is you could line 20 white windows up next side by side, and as long as they were all vinyl or all aluminum, they'd all look the same, right? The only difference becomes when you start looking at the glass, you start looking at the parts and pieces that put it together. But from 10 feet away, a white window is a white window is a white window, right? And so what we want to do is show you why we decided to put all these parts and pieces in our window, and this is why every one of our window it is turned this way. So again, by default, could we get a cheaper window? Yeah. We could get with any window manufacturer we wanted to. We chose to get correct. We chose to get with the best window manufacturer, use only the best products, and only source our windows from the U.S. So therefore, again, if we have a problem, we're calling, Florida. We're calling not India, not China, anything crazy like that. So what I want to start with is the glass, right? Truly, this is the most important thing when it comes to being able to illustrate the difference between one and another, right? And so ultimately, energy efficiency, a lot of people believe that they're losing energy through their walls, right? And most energy is actually lost through your windows. 30% on most cases if it's a double pane, up to 50% if it's single pane, right? But what I want to do is kind of illustrate for you. This little deal here is called the sun makes it run, right? So as the heat hits it, see it starts spinning? The more heat that goes through it, the faster it is, right? So this is going to represent your electric meter, okay? And so what I want to do is show you that if we came in and we decided to close up every one of your windows, what it would do for you in terms of energy efficiency and savings. So let's talk about the downsides while this is doing what it's supposed to. If we eliminated all the windows, what do you think is the first thing we're going to eliminate? The natural light, right? And everybody would like to have the windows open. At least let me ask you, do you like to have your windows open so you can see what's going on outside, have that natural sunlight coming in? Okay. And did you notice what happened? This thing started to slow down, right? And the reason it slowed down is because the insulation, which is in that wall, what it's designed to do is slow the heat consumption down, right? It has an R value, and that R value stands for resistance, right? So the greater the R value, the more the resistance it has to heat, okay? So what will happen is over time, this thing will hit saturation, right? So it can't hold any more heat, and then it allows that heat to start passing through. But for the most part, right, you feel it, you look at it, there's no heat coming through there. It's not moving, right? It's pretty neat. So
because of the R factor.
Exactly. But do you think this is an option for you, blocking all the windows in your home? It's not an option, right? So there lies the issue of, here we go. You can see it. So this is this glass that our basically our biggest competitor uses, okay? So 2 pieces of glass, right? I put this here. Now if you come here and do me a favor. Yeah, so double pane has been around since 1985. It doesn't, just because it's double pane doesn't mean it's energy efficiency.
Yeah.
But tell me when you feel the heat. Put your hand on this side.
I feel it.
Already? Oh, that's weird. Okay, just make sure there's no funny business going on, right? I'm going to put this piece here. Tell me as soon as the heat goes away. Well, that wasn't an option, was it?
No, because you need.
You can't see through it. Yeah, you need light, right? So I'm going to put this here. Tell me when you feel the heat.
Right there.
Okay. So if you were to buy basically an upgraded window, right, and not a top line window, but kind of like a mid-range window, this is a glass that it would typically come with, okay? And so what I want you to do is put your hand there, right? You feel the heat?
Yeah. No heat.
Did it go away?
Yeah.
But let's see what happens. This is starting to slow down, right?
Yeah.
So that's telling us that the heat's not coming through near as fast.
Right.
Is it starting to get warm at all? No? Pretty neat, huh? So this is why I tell you this is, what they had to do was come up with some way to make glass more efficient, right? And so you know who came up with it? The Ford Motor Company. In 1960, they had a problem with their dashboards cracking, right? And so they had to figure out a way to keep those dashboards from cracking. And so what they did is they actually came up with what they call low E glass, right? And so on your windshield, if you notice that your windshield has a bluish green hue to it, in between the glass is low E, right? And so what they do is it's basically sandwiched in between the two layers of glass, but what it does is it slows the heat consumption down, right?
So the vinyl won't break.
Correct, right. So it reduces the amount of ultraviolet light and heat that comes through. But you see what's happening? This thing is still starting to spin. You feel any heat coming through? Not too bad, right? So this is a decent window. So the problem with this window is is rated at 3 hours of direct sunlight. Do you think it's hot outside for longer than 3 hours in San Antonio?
Yeah.
It's not hotter than longer than 3 hours? The sun is always up in San Antonio. It's always hot, right? So the nice thing is we take this, right? And we can put this glass here. And so I want to show you, do you feel this glass is cold on this side?
Yeah.
Okay. Feel it's not as cold on this side? So check this out. Starting to spin a little bit, right? Right? Not too bad though. So this one here, this is a glass that comes standard with us. And so what I'm going to show you here is that, a lot of people, they wake up in the morning, they touch the glass to feel what side, what kind of clothes to wear outside or what the temperature is. So with this, the funny thing is whatever the outside temperature is, it's designed to stay outside for 30 hours. This was designed to stay outside for 3 hours. This is designed to stay out for 30 hours, right? So what we've done now is we've now put the low E on both pieces of the glass, right? Made a gourmet sandwich, if you will, right? So this is what's going to act as the equivalent to the insulation, right? So the heat doesn't come through, right? But most people, this is not an option, as it wasn't an option for you, right? But let me ask you, if you had the ability to buy a window, would you want to buy a window that you're going to have to replace or a window that you never have to worry about? So let me ask you, do you feel like it might be getting a little hotter outside more and more and the weather's starting to change a little more and more?
It's always 100.
It's always 100, right? So
it's Texas.
It's Texas. And so again, what I want to make sure we do is that we build you a window that's going to be able to handle anything you throw at it. So whether the weather starts to get crazy, we start getting crazy winds, heat, all that.
Your house is going to stay cool.
So this will hold you at 115 degrees outside. This will hold for 30 hours. So check this out. What I want you to do is touch the top of that glass. Still cold? Okay. Go quick on this one because it's hot. Feel the difference?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So again, do you think your windows currently could do that? Because let's go back to, this is something a lot of folks have. When they have double pane windows in their home now, this is typically what they have. See that thing spinning like crazy? I put this back in here, so this is clear, so there's no low E on here, right?
So basically what I'm telling you, the windows you have now, they're not doing nothing for you. They're not saving you energy. They're not keeping the house cool in the summer.
Yeah, correct. All those things are correct what you said. And so again, what we're going to do is we're going to put a piece of glass in there that's going to handle anything you can throw at it. Okay? Correct. And so energy efficiency, we check that box off better than most people do. So now what's going to happen is we're going to have...
This is the best way to save energy.
Yes, and let me explain to you why. So with our frames, a lot of times San Antonio is known for the ground to settle and shift, right? And so what happens is that when you take old windows that are aluminum, fiberglass, they're connected with a 90-degree angle, right? So what happens is as soon as that hole shifts or settles at all, it causes racking in the frame, right? So now it makes a window hard, hard to open, hard to close, or you go to open it and it comes crashing closed. It doesn't work well, right? So what we've done is we've eliminated that weakness, right? So there's no 90-degree angles on this product at all. Everything is done with a 45-degree fusion welded, which is welded all the way through. The majority of our competition's windows, if you will, they weld the outside seam, this outside seam, and this outside seam. And the reason being is it costs an extra 3 minutes to have this done because you have to let it cool before you can weld it. So because of that, production time takes longer with these windows, but try and break that.
Yeah.
You can't. And so what we've been able to do is kind of but borrow all the best technology from everything out there.
Yeah.
So we know that a 45-degree corner is going to be stronger than any 90-degree angle. And why that's important is if that house settles or shifts, it's never going to cause racking on the frame, right? So then we're going back to like energy efficiency, okay? And so on our energy efficiency, we want to make sure that we have as much dead air space as possible, because dead air space is your best friend when it comes down to slowing heat gain or heat loss, okay? So what you're going to notice is this has multi-chambers, right? So basically what has to happen is it has to get cold enough for here to get this air cold enough, to then 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 get inside. It doesn't happen. This creates a thermal break. So if you have brick against aluminum, the brick gets hot, the aluminum gets hot, the glass gets hot, right? You have a problem in all three places. And then the glass is going to let heat in, which is what we've shown that this other glass does. So now when the brick touches this, there's a thermal break. There's nothing conductive right here, right? There's no metal. Because there's no metal, this will now stay its separate temperature. So if this is 150, this will stay whatever temperature it is outside. And you may say, there's no way that wall's getting 150. I promise you, when it's getting baked by that west sun, you take a temperature gun to the outside, it's insane how hot it gets. So by being able to put that dead air space out there, it does a lot for sound, and it does a lot for also being able to keep that cold out.
The dust.
The dust is a whole other animal we're going to talk about.
Yeah, because I believe in corners, the light traffic, there's all this dust going inside the house. Most of the dust, it goes through the windows.
And who has to clean that dust? You?
Yeah.
And how long does that take? And that's kind of a burden, right? And so, and I'm sure you keep your blinds closed to keep that dust out at bay.
Yeah, a lot of the furniture has dust because it goes to come through the
windows. Of course, that's the number one source of it. So where we've also been able to improve our technology is in our glass. And so why I say this is the majority of our competition, they're going to cut corners when and where they can, right? We agree that a white window next to a white window still looks like a white window, right? And because of all that, what we want to do is make sure that our window performs even when you can't see it performing, okay? Have you ever thought about how you can get on an airplane in San Antonio and it's like 120 degrees on the tarmac and you fly up to Alaska or somewhere cold? How do you think the windows do that without fogging or having condensation or blowing out? Have you ever thought about that? So the same technology that aircraft use, what airline do you fly with? Southwest. So next time you're on the plane, if you have a chance to sit by the window, look in between there, you're going to notice that they actually have 3 pieces of glass, right? But on the 3 pieces of glass, in between them, they have this glazing here, right? It's called a butyl glazing. So the old school thought of mentality was they would fill all the window frames, right? You'd fill these little frames full of the silica beads. So that, like when you get new tennis shoes or your medicine, and it has a little packet that says "Do not eat," right? And you open it up and it has all those little clear balls in them. So what happens is they fill the frames full of those, right? And have you ever seen a window that has like a spot on the inside, it's fogging, or it looks like it has calcium built up on the inside? Have you ever seen that before? So that's caused because those things only have a 10-year life expectancy.
They put like a little balls in there?
Correct, yeah. And so it's like a whole track and frame of them. I'll find one to be able to show it to you.
Yeah.
So what we use is, this is the same technology that the aircraft uses, right? So what happens is they use that butyl glazing with the U spacer. So what happens is that this is attached to here and attached to here, but there's a thermal break being caused by that butyl glazing. So it's designed to expand and contract as it's hot and cold. Because typically when it's hot outside, it's what inside your house? Cool, right? And when it's cold outside, it's usually what inside? Warm. So with that being said, you're going to have those two temperatures fighting against each other, and that's typically where those windows fail first. That's why they only have a 10-year seal guarantee. So with ours, we're guaranteeing that will never happen, and the reason is there's no way for it to happen, because we don't use that technology. So we go back to that gourmet sandwich we had, right?
They're made with the best technology.
Oh, without a doubt. So now we take the glass, right, and we put this inside coating on the inside of the glass, right? We're going to act like this is a sandwich, okay? So this is the best bread on the market. This is double strength bread. This stuff is bad to the bone, and I'm going to show you how awesome this stuff is, okay? When we temper this glass, it will blow your mind. But what we do is we put the best condiments on there. You like mustard or mayonnaise? Mayonnaise, right? We put the best mayonnaise that's ever been made. We put it on both sides, and we don't skimp with it. We put as much that you can possibly put on a window without taking more than 40% of the visible light away. Why is that important? Because you said you wanted to be able to see outside, right? And so what I don't want to do is to make it to where at night somebody can see in, but you can't see out. Do you have tint on your windows on your car? Have you ever been where it's like really dark outside and you have the interior light on your car and it's hard to look outside?
Yeah.
Well, the same thing will happen if you put solar screens on your home or if you put too dark of low E. So what we do is we make sure it's the perfect amount of low E to be able to create the most pleasant viewing experience, right? And on top of that, what this is going to do is this is going to eliminate all the glares. You know, ever looked at a window and like the glare is real hard to see, or you're watching your favorite TV show and the TV's catching the glare?
Yeah.
So this will stop that. This actually scrubs all that. This creates almost like an HD correct. So when you go to look outside, the greens are greener, the blues are bluer, and the reds are redder. And I'm telling you, that's really important because a lot of people...
Takes all the glare away.
Correct, and you've got a beautiful backyard. Why would you not want to look at it, right? So again, by putting this on here, you still have the security that nobody can see in, that you can't see out type deal. So you basically allows it to be visible on both sides. But no sandwich is complete without the meat inside, right? And so what we do is we pump this glass full of argon gas, right? An argon gas is a real heavy, inert gas, and it sits about your knee or below. And so what we do is we pump it full of there. So now what happens, let me ask you, have you ever been to the beach before?
Yeah.
You ever tried to run through the water like Baywatch? It's a lot harder than it looked, isn't it? And so why I tell you that is we do the same thing with the glass. So the reason why I told you it took so long for the other piece of glass to heat up is it's got to run through the beach like Baywatch. You're not doing it. It's too hard. There's so much gas inside there that oxygen and heat can't just push through. Slows it down. By the time it hits here, it redirects it back out. That's why this piece is still warm and this piece is still cold. So again, the glass is what sets us apart. But again, glass is only as good as the frame you put it in, right? And so for us, when we go to put it in, what's nice is that you don't...
We get the best glass and the best frame.
We do. And so what a lot of people do is they use what they call a marine glazing, right? And so what it is, it's a black glazing that goes around your window. So if you got a white window, you got black glazing. You got a tan window, you got black glazing. And it's really an eyesore. And you don't really notice it until someone points it out. But once they point it out, you can't stop staring at it. So what we would actually do is we have color-coded and color-matched everything. So therefore, when you look at it, I don't want the frame to draw your eye. I want you to look through the glass. Because that's the whole point of a window, right? And so with that, what we do is we recess everything in. We put a nice weather-tight seal that won't let any dirt, dust come through. But if dirt and dust is a problem for you, we use the same technology, check this out, that you insure thousands and thousands of dollars worth of items to protect. Let's think about that. What's something that you spend hundreds of dollars a month on, and you put it in something, and you actually pay for that something to protect it, A, and you also rely on that item. What is it? A refrigerator, right? You spend a couple $100 a month, right? And if I went and spent a couple $100 at the grocery store and put it in that refrigerator failed, I would be mad, right? There's no doubt about it, right? So you count and rely on that thing. And so what we did is we took the same technology. If you were to open your refrigerator today, you're going to see something that's just like this. A little bit bigger, right? We made it a little smaller so it's not so intrusive. This is called a bulb seal. Why this is important is when this is compressed, it creates a perfect tight seal. You see this little fin right here? Nobody else adds this fin, and the reason we do it gives us the most airtight window on the market that allows us to keep the dirt and dust from coming through. And ultimately, you don't like to clean, you said, right?
Yeah.
And again, if you could keep that from happening, and not only do we do one, we do two. Now, the second one is the only one that has a fin. This is what we're going to see as our first line of defense to the outside. We figure if it gets past this and this, you got the other one, you know what I mean? But the chances are this eliminates 90%, this catches the other 10 that's going to pass through. So really where this is important here, when you live somewhere next to like a busy intersection, like talk about a lot of dirt, dust getting kicked up, a big field, things of that nature, that little pollen that comes off the tree, those dang oak trees that turn your car yellow, same thing, this keeps all that from getting out. So again, all of that is hidden inside the frame, so when everything goes in, it's all can be repaired and replaced. Why is that important? These windows come with a lifetime glass breakage guarantee. But in the event little Jimmy got a little crazy and broke the window, you're not going to have to buy a new window. You're going to call me up, you're going to give me the barcode, and I'm going to show you where to find the barcode on your window. We come out, we pop these out, we put a new piece of glass in. You're happy, I'm happy, we're all happy, right?
These frames are lifetime warranty.
Lifetime. And the reason we can call them a lifetime warranty is because they're made with first-run vinyl, right? Also referred to as virgin vinyl. There's a big push in the market to find a thing to do with all these recycled composites and all this old junk. And what people are doing is they're grinding it all up together, sending it through an extruder, and they're trying to make windows. They're making cheap windows. But problem with that is as soon as the sun starts to hit it, it starts to warp and twist. Let me ask you, have you ever seen like a kid's playground set or something? At the beginning of the summer, it's all brand new and bright, and at the end of the summer, it's all dulled and it's starting to come off. Yeah, it's garbage, right? Because the sun ate it. Let me ask you, do you think the sun's going to hit your windows?
Yeah.
Every day. So you're not going to be able to just take your window out and throw it away and get a new one. So we want to make sure that your window is perfect. And if you notice, how many colors do you see inside there? One. How many colors do you see inside this one? One, right? So whether it's tan or it's white or it's clay, it's all the way through. So why that's also important, life happens. Something scratches it, something bumps it, it's not going to discolor. And that's what you really want to make sure happens. And you know how they protect this from the sun? The same way you do sunscreen. They have this thing, it's called titanium dioxide. And that's what's actually in sunscreen, which reflects the sun from coming through. And that's what gives you your layer of SPF. They actually mix that in the manufacturing. So therefore, it has that sunscreen built in. You never have to reapply. So you don't know, nobody's going to actually come put it on their back or anything. That was a joke. You're supposed to laugh. But it's cool. So we're going to take the sandwich. We're going to encase it in the best frame. We're going to wrap that frame with 17 pieces of weather stripping. Okay? On the weather stripping, we talked about the bulb seals. This one here is probably my most favorite because I'm the guy that suffers from allergies. And let me ask you, have you ever sent your wallet through the washing machine before? No, you're one of the lucky ones. My wife does it about every other week, I feel like. Have you ever seen a driver's license fall apart?
Yeah.
Yeah? So what's cool is that the driver's license, if you were to send it through the wash and pull it back out, it would look the exact same. And so why that is this has a wool, mylar, that's the center strip.
Yeah.
That's the same thing that your driver's license is covered with, right? And then wool, right? So we use wool because it has great properties. It doesn't break down. It doesn't fall apart. Think about your old wool suit you've had in your closet for 20 years, right? It doesn't go anywhere. So if it's able to get past the frame, it has to get past the first layers of this, past the mylar, then past this again, then past another one of these before that dust can come in. Do you think it's coming in? It's not coming in. If you leave the window open, it will come in. I just want to make sure we know. That's the only asterisk of it all. So again, and this all comes standard. The other thing that we do is this color matches, right? So if you have white, it's white. If you have tan, it's tan. Yeah. You didn't even notice it, right? And that's the whole point, is you're not supposed to. A lot of manufacturers, they use black. Why do you think they use black? It's cheaper. So these are just what the frame is made out of, what the glass can do, right? But people say, like, what really makes your window better? Well, the fact is that we can make this window as fancy as you could possibly want it, right? Would you say that's a piece of glass?
Oh, yeah.
Can you see me through it? Yeah. Right? So, you ever seen one of these before? It's called a nail, right? Would you say it's about 1.5 inches or an inch galvanized roofing nail, right? You ever seen one of these before? Called a piece of wood. Place is probably made out of it, right? Pretty funny, pretty weird. So I'm going to separate this just a little bit. I want to show you something. When you temper glass, you can make glass stronger than most items out there. And why I tell you that is we try to temper windows when and where we can. Not necessarily just for code, but also for performance, right? Because in our mindset, if we can give you one window that lasts forever that you never have to worry about, we're all in good shape, right? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. That's pretty cool, right? Like it didn't break it. So, would you say that's a piece of wood with a nail in it?
Yep.
Have you ever seen somebody do that before? Why do you think you've never seen somebody do that before? Because their window couldn't do it. They were afraid to break it, right? This is what nobody would do, right? Nobody in their right mind would tap it. I got it in there pretty good, didn't I? Pretty impressive?
Yeah.
So let me ask you, when you had the last guy come in and show you windows, did he show you any of this? Probably not. And the reason is his windows can't perform at this level. So let me explain to you. You can get a much cheaper window, but you can't get a better window than what we have. And ultimately, we want to ensure that you get the window that
better window. You get the better window, you pay more, but you get a better window.
Well, you're not even necessarily paying more. And the reason I say that is, you know what the most expensive project you ever do at your home is? The one you do twice. So who knows? Doing those cheap windows the first time, and you come out and buy mine.
Then I can do it again.
It is. It's your next window versus your last window, right? So what we also want to do is ensure that we have security features that most people don't. And why I say most people don't is what we're going to use is a full cam lock, right? So what would you say the strongest lock in your house is? Probably the deadbolt,
Yeah.
right? And so that deadbolt, when it locks, it makes a pretty distinctive noise, right? Something like this, or kind of a click, if you will, right? So what happens here is what this is designed to do is this frame is actually this piece here. You see here, that little piece.
Yeah, rail.
So this rail is designed to. I'm sorry. It's designed to sit inside this one, right? They call this an interlocking meter rail. So most times what happens is the two windows sit like this next to each other. They're actually, so what happens is you're able to pry something between those two windows, and you can usually pop that bottom sash in. You cannot. And the reason you can, if you leave the window unlocked and wide open, that's a different story. As long as the window's locked, we're in good shape. So this window locks, it actually locks inside itself. That's called an interlocking meter rail. So now what's going to happen is this lock is going to set, it's called a full cam lock. So it turns a full 180 degrees and locks that in place. You're not breaking that, right? So when that occurs, now you've created this as a secure point, right? You've interlocked the cam lock, which is the same technology as a deadbolt, which we agree is the best lock on your home, right? Then what we've done is even better, right? Because with this only works if somebody remembers to lock the window, right? So we got this little feature here, right?
Oh, yeah.
This little feature here is probably what saves the day more times than not. So this takes 180 foot-pounds of pressure to break one of these. This is the same thing that your Dallas Cowboys football helmets are made out of, okay? Texans fan or Cowboys fan?
Texas.
Okay, no problem. Same helmet, same everything, right? And so again, what this is nice is that if you get in the habit of just leaving these out, that window can't be opened any greater than 4 inches.
Yeah.
So in the event you're venting the windows, you're in the backyard, you got the front windows open, you don't got to worry about it, right? Because Gumby's not going to break into your house. He can't. He's too small. So again, when we go to put this down, this is going to be color coded. So if this is white, it's white. This just happens to be one of the interior finishes. That's pretty nice, right? So again,
that's a real nice feature on the window.
Oh yeah, beautiful. So your
window
windows
up in case you forgot to lock it and they're popped up.
Boom.
You can go.
Correct.
They cannot open higher than
4 inches. Correct. And so there's going to be 2 of these on each window. Correct. Yeah. So it's going to give you some security. When it's a slider window,
security.
when it's a slider, there's just one.
You can have this lock plus those on. So that's.
Oh, you're not getting it.
Yeah.
Plus that glass. You think somebody's going to be able to break through that glass like that? And you should see our upgraded glass. It's incredible. But I know cost is an issue, and we want to make sure we keep it as effective and affordable as possible. So far, what
it's very, very important to be excited when you're in a house selling because that's what's going to also. If they see you, if they feel you, and you're excited about your product, then more likely they're going to get excited too.
Oh, of course, it's contagious.
It's contagious, yeah, exactly.
So again, just some different glass pieces. I actually want to show you the window. But so far, what do you think?
Well, I love the example from the light.
It's pretty neat, huh?
I love it.
And you know what you wouldn't believe is.
I love that, and I love the red part.
Good. The majority of people who sell windows don't show the window.
Stupid.
You know what they show? A brochure, some pictures.
No, you have to demonstrate.
Every
single time you have to do this demonstration. That's where you're going to make the sale.
Correct. That's what allows us to be more
successful. If you're not
successful.
doing what you just did right now, you lost 50% of the sale right there. The people that
It's going to be about price at that point.
it's going to be harder for you to sell to.
Correct.
If you do the whole demonstration, you already got 50% sold, and then the other 50 is just for them to make their money.
And that's what we're
Because
showing.
they're already 50% sold on the demonstration.
So the next thing I want to show you is what the actual window looks like. So what you realize that I've done is
you have to do the demonstration.
and we've spent a good amount of time on this,
Yeah,
right? A good 15, 20 minutes, maybe even longer.
It takes an hour to make a sale.
It takes
Minimum.
3 hours
Well,
to do
minimum.
it right.
Yeah.
And why I tell you that is because
Well, yeah, but
you got to be different than everybody else, right?
Yeah.
And so everybody else is all about getting in and getting out, right?
No,
How fast can we do it?
No, it's about making the sale.
Correct.
No, it's about not leaving from there until you make the sale.
Correct. And so that's what we're going to be able to do is kind of help and show what's available. But ultimately,
Because you'll be walking away. If you leave that house, you walking away from money. That's the way I see it.
Yeah. To an extent, but you're also walking away from an opportunity to help somebody. Well, I mean, money's only as good as if you can help somebody with it, right?
Well, yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to start from the outside in, right? What makes our window different? So our windows are going to come standard with a full screen. This is just a half screen for demonstration purposes. It's easier to mess with, to be honest with you. But what I want to show you is that our window has a beveled look to it. You see that? So that's going to mirror, that's going to mimic your real high-end wood windows, your old Victorian style, like that real nice kind of fanciness to it, right?
This is the outside.
Correct. And you notice that it has a 45, 48,
45, they all got 45.
45, 45, 45, 45, 45. 45 down here, 45 here, and then the inside's all been welded as well. So, typically, who cleans the windows at your home? You?
I do.
Okay. And so, have you ever had trouble taking the screens off and putting the screens back on? Yeah. Okay. And so, usually those screens, as soon as you touch them, they want to bend, warp, twist, right? Have problems. So I want you to be very careful for these two pieces. These are going to be sharp. These corners are going to be kind of sharp. But everything else, I just want you to feel the rigidity and the strength of that compared to what you're used to.
Yes. And then, we are tiny for the mosquitoes. We are tiny hole.
Yeah, so what they call it is an invisible screen. Of course, it's not invisible because you and I can both see it. But what it is it's designed to not take away when you go to look through the glass. It makes it almost clear inside, clear in the picture.
How do you put this back?
So easy enough, and so that was always a big concern for people, right? Is putting this on. So you see how it's the external flange here. This screen is designed to come out from the inside. And that's why they put this full-size channel for your fingers. And I got pretty good-sized fingers, and they can fit inside there. But say I'm from the outside, right? So all you do is you put the compression in there, right? You put your finger here, and then this little piece right here.
That's it.
Yeah.
How do you take it off?
So taking it back off, it's this. It has to.
Oh, into the inside.
Yeah. Let me. Your window's usually going to be installed to your house.
Right.
This one is not. Let me just twist the bottom. It's got a little stand there. Twist that.
Oh, so you take the window out? You just leave it there.
Alright, so now to hold itself up, I can do it a little easier. So it had a little problem. So typically, you're going to put it in there, you're going to pull it out, and it's going to compress.
Oh, so you want like this to take it out?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you put it just like this to put it
Correct. The same way back in.
That's what I want to know.
So, you know, another big problem that...
That's why you did this, so that way I knew it does this.
Yeah, and again, the more you use
demonstrate it.
Correct. The more you use it, the easier it's going to be. Usually I have a secondary nail with me, but I'm out of the nail, but I want to show you something. This is a brand new screen, right? And could you imagine a brand new screen and a nail going through it? How mad you would be, right? Or the cat scratched your new windows, a branch hit it, something of the sort, right? So what's cool is I can take that hole, and this is the same type of material, right? This is coated with the same thing that your pans are made out of, right? So this is what they call memory woven Teflon dipped screen, okay? So what this does is with just a little bit of heat, that hole went away. So again, why is it important to do something like this? Because I could put your old style screen in here, and I promise you it's very cheap. They can't sell it fast enough. It is typically going to, as soon as you spring a hole, it's going to rip, run, and it's not going to be able to be fixed, right? So in the event this rips, I'm going to cover it under warranty for you. I'm not concerned with it. But I also don't want you to have to live with an eyesore for a long time if you can just do a quick mend or a little fix. And wouldn't you say that's pretty impressive? Okay. So again, do you think you could do that with your screen?
No.
Has any other of my competition shown you that on their screen? Why do you think that is? Because they probably don't offer it. So again, my goal is to not give you just a window, but to give you your last window.
What's your best window?
I truly do, because I got to put my name on it. So we're going to look from the outside, right? And so some of the things I want to talk about is you notice that this is a slanted slope.
Yes.
If we were to open up your window now, it's going to be a flat slope. And then with that flat, it's going to be full of water, full of dirt, full of bugs and dust and all other kinds of stuff, right?
So there's another silly idea.
Correct. So this is...
When it rains, the water is just going to run
Correct.
out.
Yeah. Just won't pool or puddle, right?
The water's not going to stay here. It's going to run back.
Correct. And you also know that this is raised.
So years of water will not go.
Correct. Because that's what happens on other folks' windows. Correct. It weeps right through, and there's no way to keep it out. So
the water gets stuck there. So this way, the water just hits there and goes back.
Correct. So that water has to go almost a half inch and flow in there, and
it has to go because it's going to run.
And it has that bulb seal. Remember, look what that bulb seal does. It sits against there and it creates an angle like this, right? So now you're protected against here, well, it's dust and water, because the seal behind it's compressed. Your fin is stopping you from coming through, right? And then once it gets to the other one, then it has to go through that second one. And then you notice, look at this.
Yeah.
So then it has to go up over this. So you're talking almost...
There's no way.
There's no way water can go through that, right? So the other place, right, where water's going to typically come through is where? The top, right? And so this is all welded, so no water can get through. But if you notice, this frame sits inside the other frame, right? So there's no way water is going to go up, over, and back down. It just doesn't do it. So it's going to hit this window and run down.
Yeah, when the water hits here, it's going to go down.
Correct. It carries that beveled edge.
Here's here.
Correct. In the event water ever got inside that frame, I want you to look right here. You can see just very slightly, there's these little weep holes underneath here. You can see them. They're hard to... Put your finger right where mine is. You see there's like a little door?
Oh, yeah.
It's a little door. Yeah. And so that door opens to let any moisture out. So in the event there's ever moisture trapped inside the frame, because of gravity, it's going to fall down, right? And this is going to allow it to escape. And the door shuts so bugs and dust and stuff can't get in. Pretty cool, huh? So again, these guys have thought of everything on this window to make it better. So again, the other thing we talked about is being able to pry something between this window. You can't because it has that interlocking meeting rail. So you see that side here, that sits inside there. And you go, look, there's no way. No way at all, right? So that's just the outside of my window. Well, again, what I want you to remember is that this is all going to be the same color. We do offer variations of colors, and we'll go over that. But if you go with a tan or a white, it's going to be colored all the way through. Okay? If you go with a paint finish
it's going to be all one color.
Correct.
That's the beauty of it.
Correct.
It's all
we
one color.
can upgrade and we can change colors to different colors and things, but if our materials here are always going to be clay, or tan or white all the way through. And then we'll add another color to the top layer. So again, now what I do is I take this window and I spin it around. What I want to show you is you have the ability of adding grids if you want, or no grids. I will say 95% of all windows we install, no grids, okay? But we do offer it, and we have different selections for you if you are interested in it.
Normally, I would call this like colonial.
That's exactly what it's called. Nothing's changed. How about that? Pretty cool, huh? So our windows are going to do like everybody else's, but ours are a little different. Ours actually stay where you tell them to stay. So what I mean by that is if you want this window opened an inch, it stays at an inch. You want it to be opened at 3, 4, 5. It doesn't stop. Where old windows either go all the way up or they come crashing back down, right? And I noticed a couple of your windows, you got a little piece of wood holding it up when you're trying to air it out so it doesn't fall down on you.
Yeah. It had like a plastic here back in the day.
Mm-hmm. So again, the nice thing on this is it's...
Oh, these are the ones that...
Correct, yeah. So that's going to pop out. So the other neat thing about our windows is when you go to clean them, so these ones are spring-loaded. We carry 2 different versions of them. I like the spring-loaded because, again, you don't have to do any work with them. You put them in, you pull the trigger, and they go. But one of the neat things is in the event you ever had to clean these windows, right? So these windows actually have the same latches that they're used on the Lexan football helmets, right? The window now tilts in like an oven door. So now I can, on my second story, my taller first story.
You don't have to go outside. You can
correct.
To the inside.
Right, but the only problem is I can't get the other side until I open it up, and it too will now tilt in. So now it gives us double tilting windows, so we can clean these from the inside. You notice all the weather stripping we spoke of. It's all going to be,
So bottom and top will tilt to the inside?
Correct.
Not just the bottom?
Not just the bottom. Okay. So why that's important is say that...
So you know, if it's raining, you want to clean your windows? Or whatever, or it's muddy outside, it rained one day before, you feel like cleaning your windows, you don't feel like getting muddy, you can clean your windows to the inside.
Mm-hmm. It's especially if you have a second story, right? Like you're not going to get on the ladder to go do that. Like good luck. That's ridiculous, right?
There you go.
But let's talk about second story, right? You know, second story windows are the most dangerous windows in a home.
Yeah.
And the reason being is there's typically no sort of safety latch to keep children from falling out of them, right? So if all you did was got in the habit of just leaving these out, and you have the kids, the grandkids, the neighbor kids, all the kids coming over, this window's only going to be open that much. So let me tell you, you're not going to get a kid to come out. But say you wanted to have that window ventilated upstairs, right? It gets hot upstairs. The last thing you want to do is have an open window around a bunch of kids, right?
Yeah.
Check this out. Now we can have that top. So again, that top is ventilating. Where does heat go? It rises, right? So if I'm letting the top out and I'm getting that heat to escape out of those windows, we're good. So again, you could even do something like this if you really wanted to get that cross ventilation, that hot and cold going, because you burn something, or just trying to cool the air of the house out, cool the house down. So again, all of this is going to be just standard on our windows.
So just don't use put it down like that.
Just put it. So the more you use it, the easier it becomes, of course. But the other nice thing is, you notice how each one of these windows has a barcode?
Yeah.
So in the event something happens to this window, little Jimmy gets a little crazy and breaks one of these windows, all you do is just call me. You ideally take a picture of it and text it to me, and then I just send it over to my manufacturer, replacement. So you ever bought something, they said, oh, we no longer make this anymore, we no longer have these parts or pieces and stuff? Well, that will never happen with this, and why I tell you that is there's warranty dollars and parts set aside for every window that's sold, and why that's important is we want to make sure that we have the ability to service you not only today, but 50 years from today, and that's why we give you what they call a double lifetime warranty on these. So for as long as you own it, and for as long as your kids own it. So peace of mind all the way across, if you will. We're going to have the ability to have the fully framed here, so it gets it nice and strong, right? So you don't have any issues. It's also going to be molded out of the same color, so therefore you're not going to have any chipped paint issues like that. A lot of them will put these little bitty fins on there. They're hard to grab onto. This one you can get as wild and crazy as you want with it. Again, you can see that this window is rated for all the hottest places in the United States. Texas, Arizona, California, Nevada. So again, it's definitely ready to rock and roll. And we even have some windows that are rated for Alaska and beyond, but ultimately that's not what's important for you today. But again, if you want to bump the efficiency, we can always do that. But ultimately, this seems to be the best kind of fit for the situation I see at hand. Okay. Let me ask you, compared to any other windows you've seen before, how does this compare or rank?
Highest.
Highest? Would you say I covered a lot of stuff that the last guy didn't cover?
Yes.
Do you think that's because he didn't have that, or because he didn't know he had it?
I don't think he knew he had it.
Or maybe he didn't have it. Because again, a lot of these guys go through the same education and training I do. But you have to realize, as being the size company we are,
Riding had all that stuff.
It doesn't. Because they're trying to give you the cheapest window possible, and I'm trying to give you the best window possible. Yeah. Because I truly don't want you to ever call me and say, I'm upset with these windows. I want you to call me to say, my friends are ready to do
I want you to get the best window for your house.
Correct. Because it's your home.
It's the best window.
And so we even have windows that are designed to stop hurricanes.
And the best windows you have, the nicer windows you got, your house goes up in value too.
Correct. And again, so we have the thinner frame, more glass to frame ratio. We can customize any opening you want. We can do picture window. We can do every style window out there. But ultimately what we can do is build you a custom window that's going to fit your home and your home alone. Yeah, so
I'm going to come over and measure the windows inside and outside.
Every opening in 9 different places to build one window. Yeah. It's a very time-consuming process. Yeah. But once we do it, we want to.
How many weeks? Take 2 weeks?
No, depending on what, so if it's a fully loaded, impact, everything, 4 weeks. Okay. If it's just a regular window, non-tempered, 1 week. So we say about 3 to 5 weeks is typically where we fall. Very cool. All right. So for the most part, that's going to be the demonstration that we're going to go through, right? So